You're listening to the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. Now here's your hosts, Kevin, Derek, and Alex.
Alrighty, welcome in, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of the Good Old Boys Fantasy Football Podcast. It is Friday night. It is underneath them Friday night lights, the Bet Set Snap, Week 6. Here we go. I'm Derek, and joined as always by your co-host, Kevin. Kevin, how we doing tonight?
I'm doing good, man. Another wonderful Friday night, getting to hang out with you. Cruising into a weekend, great college football slate, really good NFL slate, honestly. Like, so many of these games at least have intrigue to them. So week 6 in the NFL is definitely one that is shaping out to be at least very entertaining, right? Lots of storylines, lots of starting to see some jostling around here as teams have finished basically a third of the season after this week is over. So I'm looking forward to it because things really start turning up about now. Teams really start to get after it.
Right. And this is perfect time for your fantasy to try and turn that up as well and get things going there too, right? Like, this is the time that you start separating this thing out, and this is the time too where you can really start making some moves and making some things happen if need be. So kind of a weird game, right, to start off the week last night. It's one of those that I wasn't anticipating that much of a deal. Was one of those that I did like the fact that the Giants were getting as many points as they were in a close matchup. Ended up kind of taking that side in a few different places, and but that was very. I did not necessarily have that one on my bingo card that the Giants were going to come out and just dominate like they did in that game.
So, a couple things. Number one, the Philadelphia Eagles without Jalen Carter are really soft against the run. You wouldn't think that one guy would make that big of a difference, but the Cowboys did it for the first half, right? When they played week 1, the Cowboys did it, and we all thought it was kind of okay, whatever. They knew that Carter wasn't going to make it to this game. This was not a pre-kickoff, like, weird fluky thing like he had in week 1, and they still couldn't stop the run. Like, Cam Scatterbo, I'm willing to start eating some humble pie on this one. Like, the dude is like the Juggernaut from X-Men. Like, he just doesn't go down, and if you get in his way, he has zero regard for getting around you. He's going to run straight through you. And there were a couple plays where he literally hit defenders and they flew off of him. Like, it was like watching 2018 Derrick Henry. Like, just good on the guy, man. Good on him. He's hard. You want to root for him. He's hard to root against. And I think I said, I'd have to go back and check the tape, but I'm pretty sure I said the exact same thing preseason. I did not see this, right? I did not see the consistent volume. I did not see the success. I thought that, they'd just really start hitting him low and call it good. Cam has done a really good job of lowering his center of gravity, right? And his just shifting down his pad level. And he is straight stoning these defensive players. He is doing fairly well in pass pro because if he gets his hands on a linebacker, the linebacker starts going backwards. It's not like a running back to just like dive at the ankles. Like, he's going to hit you. And you want to root for the guy. Like, there's nothing about him. He's energetic. The team, him and Jackson Dart and their energy together is just infectious. And kudos to the Giants. I didn't see it coming. I thought Philly was going to, kind of come in there and make up for the loss against the Broncos. I think that's kind of the narrative, right? Philly's going to be mad. They're going to be, set up. Here we go. And the game really turned around after the 4 straight tush pushes. And it's like the New York offense took that personal for their defense. and they just were super efficient. It was crazy. I mean, to see Philly give up that many yards in the air, just easy yards, right? It was easy completions. And for the Giants to not have Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton, not that Darius Slayton's the best receiver on the planet, but he can fill in that role. So they're down 2 receivers, but they didn't need it. I was super impressed with what the Giants did. And that's hard for me to say. Like, there's not much about the Giants that I think is well run. They played their butts off, at least for that game. For one night, they were absolutely the better team last night. So now we get to see if that momentum ticks up, right? Do they become a more confident unit going forward? But for last night, they crushed it.
Okay. Yeah, certainly they certainly showed up and showed out. Eagles, it looked flat in a lot of different phases of the game, and yeah, it was kind of interesting too, right? Like, this is one of those that we've heard several reports about players being unhappy with their roles on the team, and yeah, some of the kind of locker room talk and airing dirty laundry a little bit, so to speak. There are a few different reports kind of coming out, and it makes you wonder how much of that isn't now starting to bleed over into what's actually showing up and transpiring out there on the field.
Yeah, there's no fluidity with the offensive play calling. None. The Eagles came out of the gate, and Saquon, his first 3 rushes had like 38 yards in his first 3 rushes. And then they just like I wonder if this knee injury is more than what they're leading on. Like, is this something after the fact that we're gonna say, oh yeah, Saquon played through an injury and he's gonna have to get his knee scoped, and we knew he wasn't right and everything else, but he went out there and battled. Maybe, but holy smokes, like, this offensive line doesn't get at any push, it feels like, for the most part, when they're running the ball. When they finally do get some push, they completely go away to it, and then they're trying to keep their receivers happy. Like, I just it's clunky at best, right? And coming from a Broncos fan, right? We know what a clunky offense looks like.
Yes.
We know what a clunky offense looks like. Philly looks clunky. Like, when it's working, it is so smooth, right? Like, Philly has one of the prettiest offenses when it's working correctly. But holy cow, like, their front to rear differential is off, and you can tell. Like, it is just not working for them at the moment. So they'll go back to the drawing board, right? They'll study the film, they'll work on this, they'll try and get better and get some fluidity amongst it. But right now, it just doesn't seem like the left hand is supporting the right hand very well, and the right hand doesn't know what the left foot's doing, and it's just baby giraffe out there playing football. It's crazy.
Yeah, it was something else to watch last night. It certainly, with the Giants blowing up and the one Eagles player that really had a good fantasy game, kind of supports the narrative of just whoever I'm playing against, they're going to have their best week of the season in our home league there. So, Craig had a few different players really rock and roll there and kind of go off. So good for him and his team, and we'll hope to see some bounce back here. But you did mention there's lots of really good games on the slate here. And we can certainly kind of get to those and talk about those in a bit. But before we do that, any news, any notes that you want to hit up here before we start diving into that?
My gosh, so there's a slew of players out again, right?
Yes.
And so we're still waiting to get final word on a couple guys. But it's not looking good, right? Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, both out for Tampa Bay. So is Bucky Irving. So Godwin, Evans, and Irving out for Tampa Bay. So what this means is Rashad White and Mbuka, once again, big boost up.
Kate Otten for sleeper tight end play streamer.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. Like, just a possibility for pass catchers and trying to get it done. San Francisco did give it up to Kyron last Thursday night, but they've had 10 days to prepare. So kind of a mixed bag right there, but it should be good. Let's see. Xavier Worthy missed practice Wednesday, did practice today, but he's still officially listed as doubtful, at least according to Sleeper. So my guess is they'll reevaluate. They have the Sunday night game. Terry McLaurin, doubtful, but he did log a little bit of practice. We'll know more Saturday, I think, for the Monday night football game. So we'll know a little bit more there. No Lamar Jackson. Kyler Murray's trending towards playing. He got some practice time in, so that's a good thing. Let's see. No Chuba Hubbard. So the Rico Dowdle is I think he's still questionable. He's not listed as healthy yet. Rico Dowdle is questionable, trending towards playing against the Cowboys. Let's see. Obviously, we do not have Amarian Hampton. He's on the IR. We do not have Ricky Pearsall or Brock Purdy. Both of those guys have been listed out for the Niners.
Jaylen Warren is off the injury report.
Yep, Warren's off the injury report. He's fully healthy, so that I think you'll see him retake the lead role. But I do think with what Gainwell did, you'll see Gainwell earn himself a couple more touches.
Right.
So the gap between Warren and Gainwell has closed slightly. We'll see how it works, but slightly.
Brock Bowers is not expected to play.
Yep, Bowers not expected to play. So you're hoping that means another big Ashton Genty day. Really, I don't know who else they're going to go to if they don't go to Ashton Genty. So who else are we missing here? Derek. Combing through my list here.
Yeah, we typically don't talk on the defensive side. Roquan Smith is expected to be out for the Ravens as well. That's a big part of their defense.
Yeah, and they're waiting to hear back on Hamilton and Humphreys as well.
Yep.
So, yeah, that Ravens defense, you're probably in for another long day as a Ravens fan. Like, I think the Rams are going to be able to do some things. Now, they had a team that was injury-plagued last week, and they couldn't get the job done. However, the Niners were injury-plagued on offense. So it was the Rams defense who kind of fell through. This week, if the Rams can't get it done, it will be on their offense for not putting up points against a Tampa Bay team who looks just devastated right now. Just they cannot keep bodies healthy.
Yep, the Rams and Ravens play, not the Bucks.
Yes, sorry. Yes, correct. Rams and Ravens. So Bucks are playing the Niners.
And I'm trying to see if there's any other ones that we kind of missed that were big kind of big deals there.
Brenton Strange hit the IR, right? We talked about that on Tuesday. Let's see. The teams coming off the bye all look relatively healthy now, right? So your Steelers, your Falcons, your Packers, and who was the other one, Derek? Steelers, Falcons, Packers.
Now
I'm holding the show up.
Was it the Vikings? Is that who it was?
No, Vikings are on bye this week with the Texans.
That's right. Anyway, we can.
Yeah,
sure, I can
we're
figure
good,
that one
but
out.
Regardless, they're all looking healthy. Let's see. I have. Yeah, I think that's about. I shouldn't say that's about it, but that covers a lot of them. So we'll keep piling through, right? As questions come up, if it's bringing up one of those guys, we'll touch on it. But, again, a lot of injuries. 2 top-end receivers are out this week. Jordan Mason, who's been a very solid RB2, out this week. TJ Hawkinson out, all because of buys, right? All these guys are bye week guys.
Right.
Yep.
Jamar Chase was a guy that we dealing with some illness, questionable coming into the weekend.
Yeah, questionable. They think he's going to play, but he did leave practice early because of an illness. My guess is they're pumping him full of IVs. That dude's probably, trying to get to the head every, 15, 20 minutes right now. He's hitting so many IVs. So get that flush through his system. This is why I would want to be a professional athlete right now. Like, not that I think I could do it, but man, if you just feel under the weather whatsoever, like you just strap yourself up to like 6 bags of fluids and you just Feel like
flush
Superman.
it out. Yep.
Yeah, just flush it out. Feel like Superman.
There we go. All righty. Well, guys, and if you have questions, concerns, comments, anything like that, let's go ahead and pop those in the chat, and let's talk about them. Anything else we want to hit up here before we start diving into the chat?
No, let's see where the chat takes us. We can venture off from there. Let's get to the peeps.
All righty. So Jason over on YouTube says start 2 between Pittman, Jalen Waddle, Rico, and Jalen Warren.
Oh my goodness. I think we had this question Tuesday night too, did we not?
If not, it was something very, very similar.
So I'm going with Pittman as the ever constant, like 0 quarterback issue, 0 injury designation, playing against an Arizona team that just let Calvin Ridley get loose for the first time all season long. So I'm playing Pittman for sure is kind of where I'm sitting there, and then it's Waddle, Rico, Jalen Warren. Okay, if Rico Dowdle is healthy, I'm taking him because of the sheer volume. Just being the only guy there right now for Carolina, the revenge game factor that he's kind of been talking up. I think he's going to come short of projection. Like, to be honest, I don't think he's going to have a monster game, let alone the 206 yards or whatever he had last week. But I'm taking the volume here. Then I'm most likely I think I'm going to lean Waddle after that. Like, I want to kind of stay away from this Cleveland defense if I can. So then I'd probably lean Waddle and then Jalen Warren.
Yeah, it's Pittman. I'm right there with you on Pittman, and it's also Waddle for me. Jason saying start, and I know we answered this one on Tuesday, was start 1 between Ertz and Tongs and AJ Barner. I remember the
Tongs.
Ertz gave me 0. Yeah.
Tongs. Kittle's out, and Brock Purdy's out, and Parasol's out, and Jennings is questionable. And we've seen Mac Jones be extremely efficient as a passer, and he's put a lot of that in front of Tongs. So I'm playing Tongs this week in the home league. I'm going to have to figure out what I do after this because I expect Kittle to be back, but I'm playing Tongs this week. That's where I would go.
All righty. Start 1 between Juwan Johnson, Taylor Mason, and Ertz. I lean the Mason.
I lean Mason Taylor. Yep, I'm leaning Mason Taylor here. I don't feel great about it. Going up against Denver, but he's been highly targeted here these last couple weeks. And I think with the pass rush and just the defensive philosophy that Denver has, Fields is going to want to get the ball out of his hands quickly, and Mason Taylor is going to be a beneficiary of that.
I like it. Start 3 between Ladd, Sutton, London, and Myers. So one of them's out. London is for sure in, and I think Sutton's probably the other for sure in for me.
Yeah, Myers is the odd guy out for me right now. Jacoby Myers, his statistical output has actually been worse when Brock Bowers is not on the field, at least year to date. I'm not willing to chance that. Ladd, we saw a bit of an uptick last week. It would have been even better had that punt return not been called back because of a penalty. He would have gotten 2 touchdowns in, and I think if he would have gotten that one, our thought on Ladd would have been completely different, even though it was a special teams touchdown. It was just the fact that we would have seen points on the board. Again, their running game, we're not quite sure what that's going to look like, so we expect Justin Herbert to have to throw the ball a bit more to stay kind of in a groove offensively, and I still believe that Ladd McConkey is a viable, especially in this set, a third receiving option. I think he's a viable third receiver.
All righty. Yeah, so Myers, odd one out there. Jason, start 3, need some upside maybe. They versed Robinson, and they are upset at starting Barkley already. Kyron, White, Rico, Javonte, Swift, and Carter.
Hell of a running back room you got there, Jason. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
So, first Robinson. Is he talking about Cam Scatabo?
No, I think that he's probably going up against Bijan.
Wandell. He versed Wandell. That's what it was.
That's what
Okay,
it is.
okay. Listen, you had to start Saquon. Most people and the way that first quarter went in the game, you would have thought Saquon was easy over 100 total yards and most likely a score with the way that game looked in the first quarter. And then it just kind of fell off. So don't feel bad. That just it is what it is. You had to own it. So going back to your question, start three. I am going with the two Williams, so I'm going Kyron and Javante for sure.
Yep, cosign.
And then do you want to go Rico or do you want to go Rashad White? I'm going to go Rashad White because I think there's more passing work involved for Rashad White because of Bucky and Evans and Godwin all being down. So I think Rashad White has a little bit more receiving upside on top of his carry upside being kind of the only guy there. So that's where I'm leaning for a third. Do you have any different thoughts there? Would you go a different direction?
No, and especially if you need a little bit of upside, I think that Rashad White has the bigger upside on this one over Rico. Not really feeling the Michael Carter or the DeAndre Swift, right? Those would be the last two that I would look at. So it's Kyron Williams, it's Javante Williams are my slam dunk move on, and Rico and Rashad White are pretty close. I think Rico probably gets you a little bit better floor on this one, but if you're needing the upside, I think that Rashad White has a better ceiling on that one, and that's where I would go with that as well. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think your upside comes from Kyron going up against a depleted Baltimore defense, right? We just saw Jonathan Taylor gash them. There's no reason to think that Kyron Williams couldn't get to over 100 total yards and fall into the end zone at least once.
Fair enough. Binking saying, my guys, let's go lock in.
Lock it in.
And Binkin's very excited for this week. They're hyped. It's that time. Binkin say this is the most confident they've felt all year coming into a slate that they've got leverage. So, alrighty. And apparently Binkin is very excited about Travis Etienne. Is a player that checks every box and is steamy leverage play. So Binkin is all in on the Travis Etienne. Let's see here. So Binkin was saying that they weren't very surprised about that deal, but also saying that they had Dart and Scatabo popping off in salary formats there. So awesome to hear. All right. So who's your guys' favorite QB this week? You see scoring the most fantasy points?
Ooh, the most fantasy points.
And it's Josh Allen, then who?
Yeah, Josh Allen Monday night. If you're looking for a salary discount, Drake May, I think going up against New Orleans, Justin Herbert going up against Miami, and Jordan Love going against Cincinnati might be kind of a sneaky one that's a little bit lesser owned, right? If you're just looking for the guy flat out who's going to score the most points, it's Allen, or at least most logically, it's Josh Allen. But I think there's some other kind of fun options out there.
Yeah, I really like that Drake May pick. I think that's one that you can get some significant value out of when you're looking at like a DFS type of format there. But again, right, if you're looking for just straight up who's going to score the most points, it's Josh Allen. That's who I would tell you that's going to be. It could be interesting. The Detroit and Kansas City game that could turn into that one has the makings of a potential shootout there. Mahomes could have to kind of go old school and really put it on his right arm and legs to try and get that done. But as far as a value play goes, I really like that Drake May call.
Yeah, the thing about the Mahomes that scares me is if Worthy can't go.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know that Kansas City can put enough consistent drives together with Juju and Hollywood to keep up with what this Lions offense is doing right now. Like, Detroit right now is probably the best team in the NFL, just offensive and defensive flow. So it's going to be a tough game for the Chiefs. Mahomes is going to have to be on point, but speaking of that, Jared Goff could be kind of a sneaky one.
Right.
Right? It's at Kansas City, so that one's a lot harder because playing at Kansas City is a bear. Like, it's just not easy. So I'd probably fade that a little bit. But
Justin Herbert could be another fun one, right? The Dolphins give up points in bunches. We don't know.
Daniel Jones could be a fun one too. Like, this could be a Daniel Jones week where he runs for 1, throws for 3, has 270-ish total yards, and just kind of walks his way into fantasy points. Like, I could see him having a big week too.
Right. I mean, it's a neutral matchup, right? Like Arizona is not great, not bad. So that is one of those that there's a potential for that to stay close enough that you're going to see see them have to really air the ball out and still make some things happen, as well as getting the work done on the ground. So, any other thoughts with this one?
No, a lot of really good options, honestly, this week. Again, speaks to the matchups and why we think this week is going to be so fun. Like, it's just kind of playing out well.
Right. Speaking of tight ends, double tight end week has arrived. Anyone for anyone playing DFS? Okay. There we go. And then Binkin saying that Tutu popped a hammy and had him in the wide receiver pool this week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
So.
kind of takes some of that deep play out. Honestly, I think it's really good for Devontae Adams.
Right.
Like, not that they run the same routes, but it probably just pushes a couple more targets. Puka's going to find a way to get his. It's just going to continue that rapport between Stafford and Adams. Like, Adams is a guy that I really like for DFS this week, especially if you're not willing to pay, or if you don't want to pay all the way up for Puka. Adams is a nice pivot because it obviously drops the salary down by $2,000 or so, a little more than $2,000, and then he's still in that high-powered Rams offense against a depleted Ravens secondary.
I like it. Binking is asking Alex Pierce or Josh Downs, which one should I start this week in the matchup versus Arizona?
I'm going Downs because I just feel like he has more raw talent. Like, Alec Pierce is the epitome of boomer bust. Like, obviously you can't control the concussion, but it's Josh Downs for me. If you're wanting the home run play, it's probably more Pierce just because of the routes that he runs. But either one, I think, is a pretty safe option. Downs as more of a wide receiver 3, Pierce is more of a kind of a deeper flex play. Just based off the injuries and kind of everything shaken out this week, but they're probably closer than not.
Yeah, I would agree. Personally, I'd rather put Downs in. Alex Pierce does have the upside though, and that's a home run type of swing that you're trying to make there. Tyler over on YouTube, Romeo Doubs or Kendrick Bourne?
So if Juwan Jennings doesn't play, it's Kendrick Bourne hands down. Like, we're not going to see many 3 touchdown games out of Romeo Doubs anymore. Like, he's there, and yes, that Jordan Loves looks for him, but efficiency wise, it's Kendrick Bourne. He's going to see more targets, more opportunities because there's just limited pass catchers in San Francisco. I also think that the pressure is going to be on the pressure is going to be on the Niners to try and keep up here a little bit. Like, it's just going to be, we know what Tampa Bay offers. Both teams are limited offensively, but Baker finds a way. Like, there's more and more truth to what Alex said a couple weeks ago. Like, Baker's just finding a way.
Right. Yeah, and that's it is interesting, right? Because it's Juwan Jennings did return to the practice field. So it does look like Kendrick Bourne's probably the third option behind Christian McCaffrey and Juwan Jennings this week. But I'd still probably lean that route over the Romeo Doubs side of things. Yeah. So that's just kind of where I'm at on that one. Any other thoughts here?
No, I think I'd lean that way just because Kendrick Bourne's been healthy for the Niners. Like, he's been on the practice field. Him and Mac Jones have been able to play together consistently.
Right. Right. You got those two again going through, and they obviously did some things to pair up for 10 receptions and 140 yards last week. Like, that doesn't typically fade away. Right. And so I do think that there is some of that too when the backup quarterback gets the third, fourth string wide receiver, which is who they typically do the reps with. Like, that does carry on over through in a lot of cases. So I also like that one as well.
Right. And it's probably not 140 again, right? But realistically, if you can get 8 for 98 and a score, it's the exact same thing.
Right. I mean, if you're having to start Kendrick Bourne in an option, this is a guy that you would have just kind of picked up off the waiver wire. Your other wide receivers, maybe you're dealing with some injuries, you're dealing with some bye weeks, you're having to play him as a flex type of deal. You're happy if he goes out there and gets you 7 for 70, 7 for 80 type of thing. Like, and that's very much
at least.
And that's very much in the realm of possibilities.
Yeah. Normally these waiver wire streamers, you're happy if they get you 10.
Right.
Kendrick Bourne, but I think you can safely get you 12 to 14.
So I would agree. Tyler asking also Tongs or Taylor. Taylor by the slimmest of margins for me.
See, and I would take Tongs by the slimmest of margins. So, Tyler, we're not going to be able to give you a decisive one on this, but regardless, we both think it's close, right? So either side, just kind of how we're seeing it, it's extremely close. So you can flip a coin. I'm leading Tongs because I hate these Europe games.
Yeah.
And I just, if I have a pivot that's equal, I said this a couple weeks ago. If I have a very comparable pivot, but they're playing inside the United States and on United States soil as opposed to going over to Europe, that's where I'm going to go.
You may have talked me into that. And realistically, I think these guys are probably within a half a point to a full point on each other.
Yeah, a touchdown might be the difference, right? Like if one or the other gets in the end zone, that might be the differentiating factor.
And if I'm looking at that point, right, Denver has one of the best red zone defenses that there is in the NFL this season. So touchdowns very well may come at a premium there. So you talked me into it. I'll switch over to Jake Tongs on that one. So there you go, Tyler. Consensus is Tongs. Any other thoughts here?
Nah, close on.
All right. Tyler asking Kyron, Jacobs, Rashad White. Got to pick two of them.
Kyron and Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
There's very, very, very few people that I'm playing over Josh Jacobs this week playing against Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm.
Like Christian McCaffrey, Jonathan Taylor. And that's about it for me.
I might throw Bijan in there.
Going against Washington.
He's up against Buffalo this week.
Or Buffalo. Excuse me. Yes, Buffalo. Maybe.
That would be kind of the only other name that would sneak in there.
Yeah, I wouldn't hate anybody for doing that.
It's just Buffalo hasn't been very good against fantasy running backs and not giving up points there. So, yeah, but I'm right there with you, right? Kyron and Josh Jacobs, I think both of those two are top 10 running backs this week. I think Rashad White, top 20, maybe sneaks into the top 15 for me. But I feel pretty confident Kyron and Jacobs in that top 10. So Tyler asking if Worthy is out, Thornton, Romeo Doubs, Kendrick Bourne.
Dobbs and Bourne.
Not a fan of the Thornton.
Not when I have options that I like more. Right. So Kendrick Bourne above Dobbs. We kind of established that earlier.
Correct.
And so now between Thornton and Dobbs, I at least know that when the Packers get in the red zone, they're going to look for Romeo Dobbs. And we expect the Packers to get in the red zone quite a bit against this Cincinnati defense. Thornton, you're looking for big plays, right? Like you're hoping he's like, you want him to be 3 for $120 and a touchdown. Like that's kind of Tyquan Thornton's shtick, if you will. That's the routes they have him run. That's where Mahomes really looks for him. He doesn't look for Thornton on the crossing routes or the quick outs or anything like that. Like Thornton is running, post, corners, and and goes like those 3 routes.
Yeah, fair enough. I would also lean on the way that you stated that as well. Just wanted to make sure we explored that. So yeah, it would be Bourne, Dobbs, and Thornton in that order there. Romeo Dobbs is intriguing just from the standpoint that they've got the Cincinnati matchup, but again, I think Kendrick Bourne is probably the better play on that one. Binking saying Brian Thomas Jr. and Stafford or Trevor Lawrence and Devontae Adams. Which one of those two that you like? And Binking typically looking more at that DFS angle than not.
I think I'm going T-Law and Adams personally.
Yeah, I want as much as this is painful to say, I want to see. I really want to see Brian Thomas Jr. Show up in a week, right? Like really truly show up and be that guy that we drafted him to be with that first or second round pick. And until that happens, I'm having a hard time kind of pushing the chips back in on that if I have other pivots there.
Starting to show flashes, right? Like he's starting to show flashes of it, and maybe this wrist injury or whatever is kind of getting behind him here a little bit. Seattle's not a cupcake defense. Right. And yes, they had a great game back and forth with Tampa Bay last week. But I'm going to take momentum on Jacksonville's side for Trevor Lawrence, but he is spreading the ball out fairly well. So I'd rather just take my chances on Lawrence and play the Devontae Adams piece, assuming that he's going to have a pretty stinking good day against Baltimore.
Yeah, I would think that that's kind of wheels up for the Rams this week. Brian Thomas Jr. I don't necessarily see the ceiling there this week, and the bust potential is still there. And that doesn't necessarily that far outweigh what I think will happen on the quarterback side of things, because I do think Matthew Stafford and Trevor Lawrence are probably within 2 or 3 points of each other, and I think Devontae Adams is able to make up that difference there. So that's kind of where I'm at there. Any other thoughts?
No, sir.
All right, Boston over on YouTube saying if Rachaad White has a great game, is Bucky Irving trade bait? No. If Rachaad White has a great game, he has a great game, and when Bucky Irving comes back, Rachaad White goes back to being the backup.
I'd agree. They've seen these two guys side by side. Bucky has done nothing. He got hurt, right? And so he's not being sat out due to performance. He's being sat out due to injury. Rachaad White is doing what a good backup does. He comes in, he maintains the course, and then maybe you see him with an extra 1 or 2 touches, but I don't know that necessarily comes away from Bucky Irving. I think that it just could be, 1 or 2 less pass attempts from Baker. It could be one, because what Sean is it? Sean, who's the other running back there, Derek? Who am I not thinking of?
Tucker.
Sean Tucker. There you go. Like it could just be that Tucker doesn't even sniff the field unless it's special teams, instead of getting his standard 1 or 2 touches.
Right.
I don't think it comes away from Bucky.
No, and Bucky is so hyper efficient when he's getting the ball this season, right? Like he's averaging over 5 yards a carry. Rachaad White, even with Rachaad White's good showing last week, like he's he's still just not as efficient at running the ball and with the ball in his hands. Bucky's also a big play guy that can just turn it up, right? Like over the last really like after Rashad White's good game last week, it was 14 rush attempts for 41 yards. Like that's below a 3 yards a carry average with 2 touchdowns, right? The touchdowns is what saved the day for him when it came to fantasy production there. It wasn't that he was phenomenal running the ball, things like that. He did, as you said, it came in and did what a good backup is supposed to do, right? Like stopgap, you fill the role, you fill that need, and you do what you can to help the team win. So I'm not subscribing to the fact that even if Rashad White has a big blow up game that he supplants Bucky White, right? Same thing as Rico Dwaddle, who just had a monster career week last week. If he has another great week this week, he's not going to supplant Chuba Hubbard on the Panthers, right? Like he might earn a few more snaps, may earn some additional playing time that way, but I don't think that he's going to supplant either one of those guys are going to supplant the backs in front of him. So, any other thoughts on this one?
No, I think we're pretty aligned on that one.
Awesome. Boston asking, is Mason Taylor a top 10 tight end? This week, I think he could be, but it's a fringe, right? Like it's going to be that 10, 11, 12 type of spot there. Rest of the season, I don't know that I'm subscribing to a top 10 yet on that one.
Yeah, I'd tell you not yet, but he's starting to knock on the door. Right? The volume, the target volume has been nice, but the hard parts in general is the Jets offense just is kind of stuck in the mud. And not that they're empty or hollow targets, but in the grand scheme of things, they're kind of empty and hollow receptions and yards and everything. Like they're just not leading to much for the Jets right now. So, it's possible. I mean, you give me another couple weeks where you're seeing 8+ balls thrown his way, I'm going to tell you, on volume alone, he's going to get there. But I just think that there's so much talent in front of Mason Taylor that right now he's just on the outside looking in.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Binkin saying Brian Thomas Jr. with some eyeball emojis there. So interesting. Alrighty. Well, guys, if you have questions, concerns, comments, let's go ahead and throw those in the chat. Let's go ahead and talk about that and keep looking into that. And while we're waiting for some folks to chime in here, any matchups that you're really kind of focusing on or, really kind of, drawing your attention to?
I think, I guess for me, there's quite a few, right? Like I want to see Joe Flacco as quarterback for the Cincinnati Bengals. Like this is going to be the second time he's faced the Green Bay Packers in 3 weeks. So I'm going to be interested. What did he learn? Like Cleveland came out with a win. How does he do that same thing for Cincinnati? So I'm definitely interested in that. The Sunday night game, I'm hyper interested just because Lions and Chiefs, in theory, should be a very good game. I like the 2 Monday night games with Washington playing Chicago and then the Falcons playing Buffalo. So I think those should both be extremely entertaining. I think that there's intrigue in the Dallas Carolina game, right? Has Dallas kind of figured themselves out and they're able to kind of turn a corner after putting together a couple better performances? Or not? Is it just the same old Cowboys? Kind of the same thing. The Titans, they got the monkey off their back last week with a come from behind win against Arizona. Now they have to play the Raiders. Is this momentum going to keep up with them, or are they going to, just lose to another subpar team? So there's a lot of interesting. Again, as I get tongue-tied, there's quite a few interesting matchups. I think that there's potential for the Chargers-Dolphins game to be pretty stinking high scoring, especially with the way the Chargers defense has played here lately. So that's good for fantasy. Yeah, I mean, so many of these games I like, and they're really good for fantasy matchups too. Like all the right players have the right matchups this week. It's just how it's kind of aligning.
Right. Yeah, one thing that I'm gonna be that kind of grumpy old guy here. I don't know about your thoughts here, but I'm kind of tired of the 2 Monday night games on that, right? Like I want to be able to sit down and watch one of these games in prime time and not have to either go back and forth or do the dual screen type of thing. Like I want to be able to actually watch the games as they go through, right? For these prime time type of games.
Yeah, I guess I'd rather have it on and be able to watch it than not. I mean, because the problem with all these TV with the network telecasts, right? You're either getting 2 games on Fox or 2 games on CBS. You're never getting 2 on both. And that frustrates the crap out of me. Like it just televise them. Televise the games. Let the fans decide which game they're going to see. Like stop. You guys get more than enough revenue from your ads and your viewership and everything else. Televise both sets of games, a morning and an afternoon game on both Fox and CBS. I get it. ESPN, I mean, it's what ESPN's paying for. It's part of the contract. It's not going away. They get X amount of Monday night games, and that means they got to double some of these up. So, um, it I don't think I mind like as much. It definitely doesn't seem to grind my gears the way that it does yours. Inevitably, one of these games is going to be closer than the other. Like that's just Murphy's law right now. Like there's going to be one game that's like, okay, this is a good one, and this is what I'm going to stick with, and the other one's either going to be really, really bad and just a stuck in the mud, low scoring game. If that's the case, it's probably going to be a Washington game.
Yeah.
You have one that's stuck in the mud and kind of go from there. So I'll flip back and forth. I'll take the bait.
Fair enough. I just want to. It's one of those that the prime time one. Those are the ones that I like to just sit down and those. That's where I actually you get a chance to see these teams that typically don't watch or get a chance to watch them all the way through. So one of those I like being able just to stick on one and watch it all the way through. But yeah, that it is what it is, right? All right, a couple more questions coming in here. Boston asking, is the Arizona offense worth selling? Depends on what you're getting back.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It does depend on what you're getting. Like selling for peanuts, no. But I mean, if you get a fair offer for Marvin Harrison Jr., I would take it. Even if you get a fair thing for Trey McBride, like I don't know that I would turn down Tyler Warren or Tucker Kraft and another piece if you need it for Trey McBride.
Fair enough.
So yes and no. And as far as the running back room, I'm only playing Michael Carter if I have to. But in most cases where I do have Michael Carter, I think he's sitting on my bench just as kind of an emergency type running back.
All righty. If Minnesota starts McCarthy, is Justin Jefferson worth selling? What is Jefferson's worth based on QB on the QB between Wentz and McCarthy?
So I think with Wentz, Justin Jefferson's a top 5 wide receiver still, right? Like I don't think he gets to number 1 consistently, but I think Carson Wentz is doing a good job finding Justin Jefferson and keeping him relevant as a wide receiver, as a top end wide receiver 1. If McCarthy is the quarterback, I think it drops to, Justin Jefferson's wide receiver 12 to 15. I'm not trusting McCarthy to see the field very well after what we experienced earlier on the season. So 12 to 15 might even be a bit optimistic, but it's very much the same as, we suffer with Jamar Chase as Jake Browning was the quarterback, and then all of a sudden they blew up. I could see something very similar with McCarthy and Jefferson, and maybe it's one of those situations where you close your eyes, like he just finds a way to get there in garbage time, but you close your eyes until you can get there.
Yeah, fair enough.
So is he worth selling? Yeah, for the right price. Again,
Right.
these are top end guys, so you're not giving them away for peanuts. You are looking for fair, comparable value. And with Tyreek down for the season, with Malik Neighbors down for the season, with Brian Thomas Jr. being subpar, like that's hard. Like, would I flip Jefferson for Amon-Ra St. Brown? Yes. Right. If McCarthy comes back, I would absolutely flip Jefferson for St. Brown. Would I flip him for Garrett Wilson and a piece? Maybe, but that piece would have to be pretty healthy. Like I'd have to get a second starter, not a starter and a bench player. I would need 2 starters out of that deal. Who else? Right. Or like I wouldn't.
JSN.
Here's something I wouldn't do. Right. Like I would not trade Justin Jefferson for Jalen Warren and Michael Pittman. Right. There's your 2 starters. What do you think about that? No. Like that would be my short answer. That's not anything that interests me. I think on a sliding scale, like Nico Collins. Here's one. Nico Collins has been a little bit subpar, right? They're sharing a bye week. So in the bye week, do you flip them for each other and a piece? Yes, I would. I think I would probably do that. But again, I would want a flex type player with Nico Collins to make up for Justin Jefferson, just because Nico, outside of a game and a half, has not really been that top 10 receiver that we drafted. So I would still ask for extra back if I were going to be taking on Nico. Maybe that's where Jalen Warren comes in hand.
Okay.
Something in that realm, right? Like I Justin Jefferson for like Rashee Rice. Like, do you bank off of Rashee Rice and a piece for Justin Jefferson? Depending on what that other piece is, maybe.
Right.
Maybe. Like I could be at least intrigued enough to listen to the offer and try and, talk through it. But it's going to take something that is extremely comparable, I guess, is what I'm just continuously saying in different ways.
I like it. Binkin saying that they're building out lineups right now, listening to us. That's awesome to hear. Millie Mills saying Atlanta versus Buffalo is the game to watch Monday. Penix is him. Rise hashtag rise up. I would say Millie is probably a Falcons fan there. So,
I mean, he's shown flashes.
Yeah.
He's shown flashes. Like, I'm not going to completely disparage the guy. Like, is he a top 12 quarterback? No. Like, let's be real honest with what's going on right now. Like, he's not a top 12 quarterback. He can get inside the top 8 with a good week, but he's not going to live inside that realm.
Fair enough. Binkin saying that DraftKings has penny contest running right now. If you guys want to build a lineup with the chat or me, and we could probably explore that here in a minute. Binkin saying, who's y'all's favorite play this week out of everyone that plays on the Sunday 10 game slate? So that's the early window there.
Ooh.
So those games would be the Seahawks, Jaguars, the Chargers, Dolphins, the Rams and Ravens, the Cardinals and Colts, the Cowboys and Panthers, the Saints and the Patriots, and the Browns and the Steelers.
Man, I think I'd be looking. Oh man!
And
I think I'd be looking at something like a mix, right? Like I think I'd want like Devontae Adams and George Pickens with Drake May at quarterback, and kind of running through that. Like that would be kind of my idea to start, right? You have your, find a value play, maybe. Let's see here. Who's like, if you like your ETN pick, right? Like ETN there for kind of a pick. You could also say Kenneth Walker,
right,
as another potential running back. I mean, so
I like
It's
Stephon Diggs for the matchup and the value. Like that's
I
a
like
huge one
Diggs
there.
too, right? You go May and you pair him up with Diggs. Like I do like that. So again, no idea what the values are. I'm just spitting out names.
Right.
Let's see, tight end wise.
I actually kind of like targeting New England at New Orleans, right? And kind of targeting New England players, right? With Diggs, you could put a nice little stack there with Drake May, Diggs, and Henry. And I feel like you're getting some really solid value out of that. Let's see. If you wanted a contrarian play, Spencer Rattler. Spencer Rattler is actually starting to look like an okay NFL quarterback, right? Like it hasn't been overly pretty down in New Orleans, but he has kind of silently put together a interesting season, right? Where he is 6 touchdowns, 1 interception, and kind of putting up some yards there. So that's kind of an interesting contrarian play if you're wanting to really kind of go on the cheap side of quarterback and try to put something together there. But let's see what else. I do like the Rashad White play. We've talked about that one quite a bit. Those would be kind of my value plays that I'd be looking at there, Binkin, as far as what I'd be looking at on that one. There's some other kind of players matchups to look at. I am kind of shying away from the Browns and the Steelers for the most part in there if I'm looking to do that. Kevin mentioned the Chargers, the Dolphins. That's a very interesting matchup to kind of target and find some pieces there. Cardinals, Colts. That one I was going to go kind of one of two ways. That one I think is going to get to a point where we either see 30 points out of either side, or we see like 17, 20. So it's either going to be a higher scoring, lower scoring. I don't think you're going to get a middle route there. So it really just depends on how you're feeling there. But that's kind of how I would look and work and the potentially the games that I'd be looking to target there. So any other thoughts on that one?
No, I don't think so. So.
Awesome. Binkin saying, here's a hot take that Stafford won't play the second half on Sunday. LOL.
And that's entirely possible, right? Which kind of gives you even more of a reason to not play the Stafford Brian Thomas Jr. side.
Right. Well, that it is interesting though too, right? Because the West Coast teams traveling East Coast, they don't necessarily have that, those best kind of games there as they move east. So that could potentially keep that in check a little bit, but it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out. And that one there is one that I'm going to be keeping an eye on how the scoring kind of looks and works, especially from a fantasy perspective for those two teams. Braided over on YouTube saying that they still have faith in Marvin Harrison Jr. more so than Brian Thomas Jr. at this point. So he likes the Marv more than the Brian in the battle of the junior.
Necessarily disagree with that. There's a lot of rosters who have both. Yeah, those guys are hurting, right? They waited a little bit on wide receiver and they went Brian Thomas Jr. followed up with Marvin Harrison because they went running back or something in the first round. Like, great strategy at the time, right? You thought that you were really coming away with something. I'm not going to back down from the fact that I was really pounding the table for Marvin Harrison Jr. and I like Brian Thomas also, like coming into this offseason. So I have a couple different rosters where I have both of them on there, and right now I'm scrambling trying to find the right play in my flex spot or the third wide receiver spot to make up where I was wrong here.
Yeah. Millie saying that they're a big Falcons fan, but for my teammate won't let me draft or trade for Bijan. That guy's trying to leverage them every year.
Yep, it's all part of it.
Yep. Boston saying have top tier running backs surpass top tier wide receivers so far this season. Is this a swing back to 5 years ago? No. 5 years ago, every team had a workhorse back.
Well, and I would say no because Saquon's struggling. Derrick Henry's really struggling. You've seen Bucky Irving get injured. Like you have McCaffrey and Jonathan Taylor. And Jonathan Taylor was not considered necessarily a top tier running back, right?
Right.
Like you got him in the second round in most cases. Like McCaffrey has outperformed expectations to this point. I'd say Bijan is just about right on par with where you drafted him. You feel really good about taking Bijan in the first round. He hasn't let you down. Achan's been solid, but I haven't been blown away by what Achan has done. And then on the wide receiver side, right, St. Brown's outperformed expectations. CD Lamb's been hurt. Jamar Chase, his quarterback got hurt. Like that's not Chase's fault. But it's
Puka's
definitely kind of put
outperformed.
a damper on thing. But Puka's been amazing, right, for getting him kind of that mid to back end type range, even into round 2 in some drafts. Like Puka's crushed it. So I think it's probably about the same. Like it's just a mixed bag. It's been a 50-50 split in the first 2 rounds of guys that have hit and guys who haven't.
Right. And it's one of those two, right? Like kind of going back to the points, 5-10 years ago, you would have not, it would have been almost unthinkable to draft a wide receiver in the first round, right? Like the only one that started getting into that realm was Michael Thomas. Right after,
Thomas, Cooper Kupp, right after
right,
his big year, Devontae
right,
Adams sniffed it for a little bit, but that's about
right. And it was always at the
kind
tail
of
end.
it.
You weren't, there wasn't even the conversation about potentially drafting. You would have been in, you would have been considered to have lost your draft if you drafted a wide receiver in the top 3 picks in any,
Right.
you
Yeah.
know,
The draft was what, 8 running backs, 3 receivers, and a tight end named Gronk.
right.
Or
If even,
Kelsey, depending
right,
on, right? Like that's what your first round kind of was in standard 1 quarterback leagues.
right,
Now you get a good mix. The first round was completely split in half
right,
between running back and wide receiver. By the time you got to it, wide receiver had a slight lead, but I mean, it's a 50-50 proposition. No
right,
different than the NFL draft, right? Like half these guys make it each year and half don't. You just hope you can survive and you build the depth to overcome it.
right. Well, and even looking at just how things are now, right, with the, taking out the draft capital out of it and what guys are performing on the field and your running backs. It used to be five years plus ago, your running backs would drastically outpoint and outperform wide receivers by a wide margin every year, right? Like that's part of the reason you started seeing point per reception leagues created was because the bias was so towards the running back and the point per reception started bringing that to it, right? But even if you look at right now in half point PPR scoring, right, where it kind of mixes both of that, Jonathan Taylor has a total of 113 points as the number 1 running back. Puka Nacua has 108. There's 5 points of difference, which averages out to what, like a point a game at this point in the season.
Yep.
Your 11th wide receiver in half point scoring is Cortland Sutton at 67.5 points in half point PPR scoring. Travis Etienne is the 11th running back with 70.9 points per or 70.9 total points. So 3-point difference there. Like there's not a drastic swing one way or another on this one. And those 2 positions seem to have kind of leveled out there a fair bit. I don't know. Any other thoughts on this one?
No, I agree with that. I'm not
Okay.
willing to say that running backs have come back on top at all. Like
Right.
last year, there were a bunch of receivers hurt, so running backs got pushed up. This year, you're seeing a mix of running backs and receivers getting hurt. Chuba, Hampton, going down on top of, like I said earlier, Saquon and Derrick Henry being less than, but then you have CD Lamb go down. You have Brian Thomas with this wrist thing that we found out.
Tyreek's gone down.
Tyreek's gone. Mike Evans has gone down. Terry McLaurin has gone down.
Chris Godwin's missed a lot of time.
Mm-hmm. So it's the frustration and the joy of fantasy football all wrapped up into one, right? Like, we wouldn't have a season if it was just set off of who drafted the best team. Like, you just hand out the money and the trophy or the bragging rights right away. It's just part of the grind and getting through the season.
Absolutely. But I do like the conversation. It's certainly kind of a fun little exercise to go through. So Boston really enjoyed that question and comment there. Binkin saying hello, chat. Chime on in, smash that let's lock in. Binkin saying Ferguson has been a PPR monster, also like Tongs at the tight end for value. Yeah, I could see that.
Yes, I agree with both. Absolutely agree with both.
Now, it will be interesting to see what Ferguson does when Lamb returns and how that kind of shifts and shakes back out there. But absolutely, for now, he's a must start type of play. Braided saying that they've got Ferg, picked him up off of waivers week 2 after Kittle went down. That was a great move there.
Great pickup. Gotta love that.
Yep.
Didn't skip a beat.
No, not at all. Millie saying Bourne isn't going to eat this week, huh? I guess I got to put him back where I got him on the waivers.
No, I'm not saying that. What I said was it could look different. He's not go 10 for 140. He might go 8 for 98 and a touchdown. Like, it's the same points. The number's the same, right? It's just how you look at the equation. So I think Bourne could still have a very good week. I just don't think he's going to have 10 receptions and 140 yards.
You don't think he'll have 2 career weeks back to back? Wow, that's talking about a hot take there.
Right. So, but I still think he can be extremely efficient, and I think he can get you there. Again, he's a spot start. You picked him up off the waiver wire, and he's going to come in and he can get you 14 to 18 points more if you're looking at last week, right? Because of the 10 receptions. Like, I still think 12 to 14 points, I think, is completely reasonable for Kendrick Bourne this week. If he scores more, that's a big time bonus. If he scores a couple less, well, yeah, you picked him up off the waiver wire, so that's the gamble that you have to take playing on the waiver wire, right? He could score 8 points and not 16. That's a bigger range, right? That's why we like consistency and upside with these top end guys, is you don't have to deal with as much volatility.
Right. And that's, like I said, even if Kendrick Bourne has an okay game, right? Like, realistically, an okay game would be even 5 for 60, 5 for 70, 6 for 60, 6 for 70 type of thing, right? Like, which I don't necessarily see that. Even if he gets 5 receptions, I think you're probably closer to 75, 80 with it, right? Because he gets down the field more. They take deeper shots with him. He typically catches the ball much further off the line of scrimmage. So even if he's getting down there, you picked him up off the waiver wires to be a flex play, a desperation type of start. Like, you weren't necessarily banking on him being your wide receiver 1. You weren't even really banking on him being your wide receiver 2, but I think you're going to get enough value out of him to play him this week that if you're playing him as a wide receiver 2 or a flex because you've got some injuries, you've got some bye weeks, I think that you're in pretty good shape with that. And there's certainly other, a lot worse options that you could put in there. So Binkin saying that there's so many great running back plays this week, value plays and pay up options. Yeah, I would agree with that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of good matchups this week. Right? It's just how you see the game script.
Absolutely. Braided asking, what are y'all's thoughts on the Panthers and Cowboys this weekend? Should be an interesting matchup. And if you're thinking the Cowboys are going to win, the Cowboys are going to have to put up. They broke our streak there, right? Because they only got to 37 and didn't lose the game. But that thought process is still very similar. The Cowboys are going to have to put up high 30s to 40 points if they're going to not lose this game. And if you think the Cowboys are not going to lose this game, then that's where you're going to be. And the Panthers very well could keep up because, quite frankly, this Cowboys offense or Cowboys defense very susceptible through the air. And I like Ted McMillan quite a bit in this matchup.
Yeah. Yeah, he's one of the popular guys for sure, right? Being able to get in that matchup and eat a little bit. Again, I think Rico's probably not that he's not going to have a decent week, but he's not going to have 200 yards. The Cowboys have been much better against the ground. League average, right? Maybe just slightly above league average, but much better than what they were last year, right? So you're not just going to sit there and gash them on the ground. Their defensive unit gives up plays that are deep crossing, deep corner, deep post type routes, where the safeties get confused. They just don't talk, is what it looks like. That being said, they're getting a little bit healthier on the second level, so I think it's probably going to help them here just a little bit as far as communication goes. So I think we'll see a bit of improvement from this Cowboys defense. They started to get to the quarterback a bit more last week against Justin Fields with what they've seen. A lot of times they're only sending 4 guys, right? Maybe 5. They don't blitz a whole lot. That's just not how this defense is sit. So they drop a lot of numbers. Yes, they're getting beat deep over the top, but the intermediate routes, they do a pretty good job of shutting those down. It's when the pass rush doesn't get home or at least cause a disruption, the secondary gets picked apart, but that's any team in the NFL. Right? If you can't get pressure on the quarterback, these QBs right now are just too talented. Like they can find the open guy and drop it in on him. So close game. Yeah, I think this game is probably going to be closer than not. I don't necessarily see any team running away with it. I think I'm going to lean the Cowboys ever so slightly, but if we're doing a confidence pool for this weekend, my confidence level is probably 4 or 5 out of the 14 games that are being played.
I mean, this one here wouldn't surprise me if we look up and we see a 36-33 type of game.
It should be fun, right? We'd enjoy that. It's good for fantasy.
Lots of points. And I think that's ultimately where we'll see. Well, I think we'll get lots of points out of that one. So I'm kind of in the same boat you are. I would lean on the Cowboys side of that, just ever so slightly. And I think we'll get a ton of points. I think this one's going to turn into a shootout, and we're going to get lots of points. So it'll be a fun one. Braided also asking also, how much should I be concerned with Dobbins about Dobbins with the potential increase in Harvey's projection? Not at all was my thoughts. This one.
Here's the little secret about RJ Harvey, right? Everybody's going off of this game that he had 2 weeks ago. And they saw this uptick in production. The Denver Broncos ran 80 offensive plays that game. 80. Mm-hmm. And then last week, Birdie saw more offensive plays than RJ Harvey did. So he's a nice change of pace right now. He is explosive, like he does look dynamic, but Sean Payton's not going to move away from J.K. Dobbins unless, knock on wood, Dobbins is unable to play. This is where he's planning on running his horse, and that's okay. Harvey as a stash, not a bad idea, right? Like J.K. Dobbins does get dinged up from time to time. Like we understand that. And if Dobbins does go down, Harvey's going to see a massive uptick in workload. But if Dobbins goes down and it's only a short-term injury when he comes back, Harvey's not going to see that much more than what he's already seen. So I get the excitement around it from 2 weeks ago, but the excitement came because they ran 80 offensive plays. Most of his work was done in the fourth quarter after they pulled J.K. Dobbins.
And that's the interesting, or that's really the kind of the way to look at that too, because of the fact that that once J.K. Dobbins got to 100 yards in that, the Broncos pulled him and he didn't see him, right? So his snap share was only at 44% of the snap share, which was down than what it's been previous weeks. It bounced back a little bit last week, but the when the Broncos need to run the ball, it's J.K. Dobbins getting the handoff. It's J.K. Dobbins in there getting that to go, right? Harvey's the change of pace, yeah, that kind of stuff.
And he's
Harvey
shown
is
enough burst, right? Like he's not elite, Jahmyr Gibbs burst, but
right.
Dobbins has been able to get in the end zone from 20 plus yards out, or I guess it's 18 plus yards out, 2 or 3 different times this season. Like he's showing that he's seeing the game very well. He's able to fight for those yards, like he's holding on to the football. Dobbins is not doing anything to give away this lead back position. So the
No,
only thing that could deter it at this point is health. And for all intents and purposes, J.K. Dobbins is as healthy as any other running back could possibly be 5 weeks into an NFL season.
yeah, and I mean, shoot, yeah, the week after R.J. Harvey had that kind of blow up, and what a lot of people are talking about there, that moved the dial so much for him that he saw 20% of the snap share the week following against Philadelphia. Right, he went from that was his lowest snap share that he'd had all season long. Right, like had a couple 29s, 33, 41 as far as on the field snap share percentage to 20 against Philadelphia. Right, like he has this game that everybody's talking about, we're concerned about, and he sees the lowest amount of on-field work that he's seen all season. Following up on that, that's where a lot of folks aren't necessarily looking at that and aren't taking that into consideration. Back to your point there, so no concern for me either. Any other thoughts on this one?
No.
Banking, Pollard might have his best fantasy points game this week.
I could see that going against the Raiders. I could see that, right? Kind of get out of that wide receiver, running back 2 area. Like there's a realm where Tony Pollard has a game that's good enough to get into like running back 12 for the week. Like I don't think we're looking at a top 5 game by any stretch. But this Raiders defense is pretty porous. They do give it up to the running back here a bit. So I wouldn't be shocked if Tony Pollard finished, running back 16 or higher by the time it was done with this week.
Yeah, I could see that. Millie saying RG Harvey was on the waivers, just dropped Bourne for him. I'll take the stash.
That's okay. Yeah. If you don't need Bourne this week, then go for it. I'd tell you the sneak play would have been you should have waited until tomorrow to claim him. And that way it's a last minute like waiver thing going into the game on Sunday. Because if teams aren't paying attention on a Saturday to claim the waiver, he's just going to sit on the bench and won't burn you. But I don't mind it, right? If that's who you want to take as a stash and feel like there's upside there, go for it. I would rather have Bourne this week.
Fair enough. Joe over on YouTube, should I try and trade Scatabo while he's on top and before he gets himself hurt? Or will he be a good running back to rest of season?
So at this point in time, the volume is there, right? Like the volume is there to sustain running to. Yes, there's always a threat of injury. Yes, he runs with kind of a violent passion, if you will. And typically those running backs don't have the longest shelf life in the NFL. But for now, I think he just kind of stays the same because even if he misses a game, like if he goes and gets a stinger, right? One of those neck stingers that cost a player a week or something like that, Tyrone Tracy has not been nearly as explosive or as nearly dynamic as what Cam Scatabo is. And the team feeds off of Cam's energy right now, between him and Jackson Dart both. So I think his position on the team is extremely safe and the volume will be there as long as he's healthy.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Braided saying they're waiting for Tet to finally have his breakout game. Well, this would be the matchup for it.
He just needs to get in the end zone, right? Like he's had a couple decent reception total type games, but you need him to fall into the end zone, right? Like even if he finishes 6 for 75 and a touchdown, there's plenty of promise there because he finally gets that elephant off his back.
I like it. Trone over on YouTube saying needed to upgrade at wide receiver, traded DK and Rashad White for Nico Collins in a full point PPR. Decent trade. Wide receivers are now Nico, Devontae, Olave, McLaurin, Hunter, Cup. Running backs, CMC, Barkley, Warren, Gainwell, and Vidal.
I mean,
I like it.
I don't mind it, right? I'd like to try and find an upgrade over Travis Hunter or Cooper Cup, but I mean, to do that, you're going to have to package a running back that you probably don't want to. So
Right.
I'd tell you that you're set pretty well. Get through this week with Nico being on a bye. And hopefully McLaurin comes back and is healthy for you. But at the moment, you're not going to like what it's going to take to package and improve at this point.
Yeah, I like that one. Binkin, would you rather play Daniel Jones and the Colts defense or May and the Patriots defense?
Oof. Man. So I'm going to tell you Daniel Jones and the Colts defense because they're at home. I don't hate Drake May and the Patriots defense, though. I don't hate that at all. I think that's a very competitive group as you're looking at it. Jeez.
It is 6 of one, half dozen of another for me. This is a coin flip. At
By the time it totals out, right?
Yeah.
Like, I always like a home defense. Like they just get that little bit of extra juice for the crowd from the crowd noise and whether it's a delay of game or a rushed kind of a rushed offense, trying to get set and everything else that allows the defense to tee off on it because they know they have to snap the ball when the clock hits 0. I think I'm leaning Daniel Jones, but I don't know that I have much of a fight for anyone who says no, it's going to be Drake May.
Yeah, it really is 6 of one, half dozen of another for me. So, thinking this one would literally be flip a coin, and when that thing's in the air, which one you're leaning towards would be the way I'd go. All right. Binkin saying that Pollard thinks that Pollard gets 25 fantasy points in full point PPR with a stat line of 18, 141, and 1.5 touchdowns. So, okay.
Yeah, there's a world where that absolutely happens.
Right. Joe saying violent passion equals crazy guy. I like it.
Yeah. Yeah, he is, right? I was watching a reel, and I think I sent it to you, Derek, or I sent it to the Good Old Boys account where they were talking about Cam and just coming in, just how loud he is, right? He's just full of energy. He's loud, like he's just unapologetically like outgoing in himself. And they all said the same thing, like he's just so loud, like he just never stops. It just made me think of that. Sorry.
I like it. Binkin thinking that Ted is due for a touchdown, and Millie Mills saying that Dart gives him rookie Josh Allen vibes or rookie Big Ben vibes. So,
kind of, sort of, and maybe I'm just not there because he just does not have the frame that Allen or Roethlisberger have.
right.
Now, I like the fact that he's really pushing for those first downs and he's kind of just tossing himself out there like a torpedo, but that ain't going to last for very long because when you're the franchise, the coaching staff tells you just get down.
Well, not only that, if the linebackers and the safeties don't have to, they don't have to worry about getting flagged because you're constantly diving and going for it. They don't pull up. Those hits are going to start getting harder and harder until he starts sliding. So it'll be interesting to see how that continues to play out there. Binkin saying that Tet will need 9+ receptions to be optimal, though. In that, in their opinion, the TD is there, but will he have enough catches?
No, he will have less than 9 receptions.
Yeah, that's a hard one to rock and roll. 6, 7, I wouldn't bat an eye at that, but 9 is a tall order, and unless your name's Puka Nakua, I don't know that I'm signing up on that for a week in, week out this season.
Yeah, I agree. 6.5 is kind of where I think his reception total is without looking at it.
No. No. So Binkin actually thinks that he forgot to factor in all of Tony Pollard's receiving yards, and so it'll think it'll be higher fantasy points there. Awesome. Binkin asking, so do you like Jacksonville defense over New England this week?
No, I don't.
I don't at all.
I don't. Again, when you're playing the Chiefs, you just try and like these teams find another gear, right? The Chiefs, the Eagles are kind of the same way, right? Like you're playing some of the best of the best, and so they get everyone's best shot every single week. I could see the Jacksonville defense let down a little bit over New England, thinking that they're not as good as the Chiefs, and they'll be able to contribute enough without a 99-yard touchdown
Interception return.
right?
Yeah.
Like, so I do not care for Jacksonville's defense this week in comparison to where we have others.
Fair enough. Well, it looks like that's going to take us down here to the end of the chat. Any final thoughts out there for the viewers and listeners?
Thanks for the questions, right? We appreciate the kind of the camaraderie that we see here every week on these Friday night shows. We appreciate the questions and the back and forth dialogue. It makes this show fun. Like I really enjoy these Friday night shows. So thank you everybody for doing what you do, right? Peppering us with questions, keeping us honest, letting us know when you don't agree, that, because that's okay too, right? Like we don't have to agree and we can still, you know, join in and participate in this game, right, that we all like so much. So as always, hit us up at good old boys ff. You can find us wherever you consume social media content. If you have any more waiver wire trade start sit questions, let us know through one of those channels and we'll be sure to get back to you just as soon as we can.
Awesome. We do have 3 more questions come in, so we're going to hit up
Okay.
these 3 and then we're going to call it a night here. Millie Mills, are y'all on the train of Mbuka is going to regress once Mike and Chris get ramped up? Millie Mills does not think that he will personally, or he thinks that Mbuka will eat more.
Yeah, I don't know if it's going to be much possible for him to eat more, but I don't know that he eats any less, right? Like, I think that Mike Evans will be kind of that guy at the sticks. Like, I think we need to change what we're thinking about Mike Evans going forward here for the rest of the season. If Mbuka is going to be the deep play and the deep shot guy, Mike Evans becomes more of the chain mover on the outside. Chris Godwin kind of finds that on the inside, but this Godwin thing's weird, y'all. Like for him to play 2 games and then all of a sudden, yeah, I'm down and I'm out. Like this Godwin injury might be a little bit worse and a little bit slower recovery than what we originally intended. We were just so happy to get him on the field. So maybe next week we'll see that for the first time. We'll get to see all 3 on the field together. Well, I guess not the first. Yeah, it is the first time that we'll see all 3 together on the field. So fingers crossed. I want to see it just because I think this Tampa Bay team is really exciting when they have their full list of playmakers available. So I definitely want to see it, but I would agree. I don't think Mbuka slides too much. Him and Baker have clearly built a good enough rapport that that's not going anywhere. And right, wrong, or different, once Mike Evans comes back, he draws a lot of coverage. Of coverage. And so maybe you pepper Mike Evans a little bit early and they shift coverage over. Maybe teams are just so fixated on Mike Evans that Mbuka breaks loose. Like there's so many ways for Mbuka to get there right now. I think it only gets better as they get healthy.
Right. And I'm kind of in that same opinion. He may actually see a little bit less as far as targets go, but I think that the targets become better targets, more efficient to it, and more even downfield shots for him on that one. So I would agree with that train of thought there. C-Dog saying that they traded CD and Josh Allen for London, Kyron, and Baker. Thoughts very weak at running back. I don't mind that trade. I don't necessarily like giving up the 2 kind of big end, big swing kind of guys there. But if you're that hurting at running back, I could see making that move.
Yeah, yeah. Again, with you saying that you're really hurting at running back, I feel like that's about as good as you could have hoped for. Is getting a true number one in Drake London, a true number one in Kyron, and a Baker Mayfield who's inside the top 10. So I don't hate it, especially with you saying that you're really hurting a running back.
Right. Binkett asking if there's any concern for Kyron losing some work this week because of game script.
Yeah, possibly in the fourth quarter, but my assumption is if they're pulling Kyron, it's because he's already gotten you there.
Right. Yeah, one of those he's already over the century mark and has put one in the end zone and all of that. So I think you're probably right there. All right, last question. Here we go. Crude. I'm trying to trade Debo for good value and was thinking of going for Tet. You think I could get more out of him, or is that trade valid?
I think it's valid. I think it's always tough to trade one for one of the same position,
Right.
just in general. Now, some people will do that and they're okay with it, but it's much harder to find a trade partner when you're trying to go one for one at the like position than trading away a wide receiver for a running back or a tight end or something like that.
To be between the two, I'd rather have Tet than Debo.
I would too, right? McLaurin's getting close.
Right.
Getting close. And I do think that we will see that balance back out and we'll see Terry McLaurin become hopefully be able to put up numbers or at least find that rapport with Jaden Daniels and kind of do what he was doing last year because we haven't seen it yet in 2025.
Right. So I like it. All righty. And then Joe saying many thank yous from Third Shift. And Beacon saying, okay, fellas, enjoyed the stream per usual. Good luck to y'all this weekend. Let's win that dollars. Appreciate everything you guys do. See y'all next time. Appreciate those kind words. Appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in, all the content, all the comments, all the engagement. Really does make these shows fun, getting to interact with everybody. So appreciate everybody tuning in, chiming in. That's going to do it for us tonight. We'll be back again live Tuesday, 11 p.m. Eastern. He's Kevin. I'm Derek. Have a good one. Be safe. Toodaloos.